All right, guys, we're back. Football No Filter. Here we go. I am Brun Krak. I'm here with one of my co-hosts, Jorginho. Jorginho, how are you today?
Doing well, doing well. How's everybody doing today?
All right. And then we got our special guest, Jeff. Jeff from Fans of Portuguese Soccer page on Facebook. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Yourself?
All right, man. Thanks for coming on for our show. We're excited to have you. I know I follow you on Fans of Portuguese Soccer page. You want to tell us a little bit about that page?
Yeah. So, the Fans of Portuguese Soccer is a page that was created quite a few years ago, maybe about I want to say about 6-7 years ago, and it started as just a bunch of guys that just kind of wanted to have a little bit of a private conversation, bar talk. And it grew to about between 100 and 200 members. We contribute pretty much daily. We have a total ball of that we participate in, and we have some lively talk, but it's always respectful, and it's a lot of guys that know each other and have formed relationships over the years. We have page dinners at local restaurants and all that kind of stuff. So it's become a family. Both of you guys are members there, and I enjoy both of your contributions there, and everybody does as well. And I think it's it's growing in a positive way, and it's definitely something that's taken off in a positive direction. So to give I appreciate you having me on the show, and giving me a couple minutes to promote the page, which is appreciated. So.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good page. I actually do enjoy commenting. You got some good people on there. Obviously, you have a little banter going on, but it's respectful banter.
Sure.
But it is definitely a good a good page. There's a lot of knowledgeable guys on there, which is refreshing.
Sure.
Definitely refreshing. All right, so I'm gonna go forward. I'm gonna look at the schedule for this past week. Hold on a second. Here we are. All right. So this is how it went. Let's start off with Saturday. Gil Vicente 1, Tondela 1, coming off the national team break. Marítimo 1, Portimonense 2. Portimonense had a bad break in this one. Not Portimonense, Marítimo. Marítimo had a bad break. Coming off a big win at the Dragão, and they had a huge letdown game at home against Portimonense.
Mm-hmm.
Braga 2, Nacional 1, sweated it out. Sporting and Porto draw 2-2. Belenenses and Moreirense 0-0. Paços Ferreira 2, Santa Clara 1. Paços Ferreira get the first 3 points of the season. Farense and Famalicão in a roller coaster game, 3-3. Rio Ave 0, Benfica 3. And Boa Vista 0, Guimarães 1. I think Guimarães' first win since 2006 at the Estádio do Bessa. So the table goes as follows. We have Benfica at 12, Sporting, Santa Clara, and Vitória de Guimarães at 7, Braga 6, Marítimo also at 6, and then a couple of teams at 5. Famalicão, Belenenses, Nacional, Moreirense, and Gil Vicente all on 5 points. Paços Ferreira and Portimonense 4 points. Rio Ave 3 points. Tondela and Boa Vista 2 points. And then Farense actually get their first point this past weekend. I'll open it up to Jeff. You're our guest. What have you thought, or what are your thoughts right now of the standings? And is there a surprise team on those standings where you thought, hey, this team should be doing a lot better? Or is there a team that you're like, this is exactly what I expected them to be?
Well, yeah, there are a few teams that that kind of stand out. Talking about the standings in general, besides Benfica, who has 12 points, and taking into account that Sporting has one less game, the difference between the 15th the team in 15th place, which is Rio Ave, with 3 points, and the team in second place, which is Porto and Sporting, is 4 points. That's the difference. And so it's very equilibrado, something that is refreshing, I guess, in a sense, to the league. It shows some good competition, between the mid-level teams, the mid-table teams. But of course, there are teams like Boavista. I think that was a team that I think, in the beginning of the season, we saw them loading up with a few players. They got Javi Garcia. They got some, I think it's an American international right back. I'm not sure. I forgot his name, but they got some names. Yep. They got some names, some name signings and everything. And people were a little bit excited with Boavista, and, they've disappointed. They have 2 draws and 2 losses in 4 matches. And that's definitely disappointing for a team that I think at one time we thought would aspire to, to make a run for. I mean, it's still early. They're only 5 points out of second place. Geez, but I think they're a surprise, as well as Rio Ave, who I think maybe came off an emotional loss to AC Milan in the and that takes a toll. You know what I mean? You're expecting big things. That win, if they beat Milan, probably could have catapulted them into a better performance against teams like Benfica and whoever else they faced before them. I know this was their first loss. They came off 3 draws. So those teams right there. And on a positive note, you have Santa Clara. They're 4th place. With 7 points, and not to mention my team, but I mean Sporting. I mean, think a lot of teams, a lot of people, have been highly critical of Sporting, but I mean, if we can pull off a win against Gil Vicente and Alvalade, we're 2 points behind first place and 3 points ahead of third, so in second place. So I think especially this year where there's 2 spots entering the Champions League, I think it's very important, more so than ever, to be placing well early in the league. So.
George, any surprises so far, or you're pretty content with how things are going with the competition in the league?
No, listen, I second everything that Jeff just said. A very good analysis of the of the table. Definitely, Boavista is the big surprise on a negative side. With change of ownership, with a lot of money floating into the club. I think they have, double digits, 12, 13, 14 new signings, and some of the signings are, they're not, these kids that come from 5th division of Albania or some other country. They're decent players. And being next to last on the table, that's definitely a disappointment. Santa Clara, again, it's early on, but Santa Clara being in 4th place is a big surprise to me. Vitória de Guimarães and Braga, now the last couple of games, they're finally getting some victories, getting some points, which puts them right there on the top of the table. And to me, a surprise to me, to be honest with you, and not no disrespect. And I know it's early, but Sporting to me has been a surprise with the youth that they have, with a new coach, a pretty difficult system to play under with the 3 fullbacks. And being able to pull these wins. Some of them, they've had to work a little bit hard to pull them off, and be right there, and be able to tie a team like Porto, which to me it was a huge surprise. Even though they're playing at home, but there's no fans, so pretty much the home court advantage that's out the window. And to be able to come back from a 2-1 deficit and tie a team like Porto, the defending champions, to me it's a big surprise. So a big kudos to Sporting, and to be able to pull that result and be right there on the top of the table. Was not expecting that.
I'm actually going to say I'm going to pick a couple of teams. The team that's kind of surprising me a little bit is Marítimo, because I look at their roster, they don't have a lot of quality. But that guy, Pinho, is actually scoring a good amount of goals early on in the season, at least important goals where they're, that's resulting into points. The problem with Marítimo this past weekend is they would score and they would let Portimonense score. They would score and they would let Portimonense score, and it's like it was just a bad. It was just a bad game for them, because they actually tied the game up, I think it was, and then they just let themselves lose again. So that was Maritimo, or actually, yeah, they tied the game, and then right after they gave up the game winning goal, and then they couldn't get back. And I was expecting that, honestly. I had a feeling they were going to go to the Stade de Gaulle. All right, you got the 3 points. I had a belief that they were going to have a letdown game, and it was a letdown game. The other team that's kind of surprising me for the negatively is Rio Ave, but I think they have so many new players. It's going to take them a little bit to gel, especially with the brand new coach. But they do play very well, very good soccer, at least attacking wise. When they finally get together, I think this is going to be a good team. The one team that I'm not surprised is Boavista and Farense. I picked Farense to drop, and I believe that Boavista is going to have a lot more struggles because, again, names don't win games. Most of those names are has-beens, and I don't think they're going to add much quality to this team anyway. So we'll move forward. You guys want to add anything new?
No, just to touch on a point that you made with Pino, Rodrigo Pino. He's actually he's currently the leading scorer in the league with 5 goals, which I think is pretty impressive. Coming from mid-level team like Maritim. So that was a good call on Rodrigo Pino with 5 goals currently. I know he's leading Waldschmidt, who I think is a stud for Benfica. They found another Pablo Aimar or something to that level. You know what I mean? So great find again. As much as I hate to admit it.
Yeah, he's definitely a stud.
All right, we're gonna go and analyze the very controversial Sporting versus Porto game. Jeff, you do not have the lineups, correct? I can read them if you don't.
I do have the lineups. Yep.
All right, so I'll let you read Sporting since you're the home team.
Okay. You want the starting lineup? That's what you want?
Yeah.
All right. So they started with they played a 3-4-2-1. With a false 9 that they controversially get criticized for. But I think it's been working well. So they started with Adan in net. On the right side, they played with a 3-man line in the back with Net on the right, Fidal on the left, and Coates in the middle. They had their right wing back, which is Futebol. On the left was Nunes. Their 2 center mids was João Palhinha and Mateus Nunes. And then they had up front the trio up front, which was Pote, Nunes Sanch, and Jovan Cabral.
All right. So I'm gonna read Porto. Porto started with Marchesín in goal, Manafá on the right, Pep, Mabimba, and Sanusi, the left back, in his debut. We had Uribe and Sergio Oliveira as the duplo pivot, as they say it in Portugal. Corona on the right, Luis Diaz on the left, Otavio in the middle, and Marega up top. I'm going to start with you, Jeff. What was your analysis of the first half?
I mean, the first half, I thought Sporting came in a little timid. They seemed a little bit, I don't know if they were a little bit intimidated. I guess it's expected when you have a young team. I know there's veterans on the team, but, again, we've touched base on this in the past. When you have players, that are 21, 20, 18 years old in the case of Nunes. I don't care, how much experience you have. When you play Campeonato Nacional, man, the butterflies are there, and I think it showed it in the beginning. But I think that went away quick, especially with the early goal. I think that was extremely important and extremely motivating. Sporting looked like they were ready to go toe to toe with Porto. I was confident, and then Porto comes in and takes over and scores 2 quick goals towards the end of the half. And in that right there, I thought to myself, not the first goal was at the 25th minute, but the last goal was right at the end of the half. And I thought to myself, that's going to be a make or break situation in the locker room, and that's where Ruben Amorim would need to earn his money, if you will. And that's I personally felt that, like, in watching the game, we were in the game, but I wasn't. There wasn't a lot of confidence. I was extremely surprised at the attitude. To go toe to toe with an experienced team like Futebol do Porto, and I think that just goes to show the mindset that some of these players have. Different than others. I mean, even though like a Nuno Santos is a new player on the team. Nuno Santos, he's a veteran. He's played in big games. He's been asked to play big roles with Rio Ave. When it came down to it, when he had a cross from I believe it was Porro that made the cross to him. El Notre Dame, when he had a chance, a one-time shot, like a lot of players with lack of confidence, would have probably tried to stop the ball and then, and maybe, fumbled the ball in the six. He didn't. He said, you know what, he took a one-time shot and he put it in. Marchesín, I think, could have done a little bit better, but that's tough to say, but it was a great goal. And then right after that, he continued to do what he was doing and helping out Nuno Mendes on the left side. I think a lot of criticism in the beginning of the game was why are we playing with Nuno Santos instead of Vieto? And I think it was all because of Corona. Corona, he's a very dangerous player on that right side, and Nuno Mendes, had a fundamental role in the game to be that left winger, and having Nuno Santos there to fazer a dobra and covering his back in key plays, I think helped out. Helped Nuno Mendes, helped Nuno Mendes, I think, allowed him to do what he normally does, in regular games. And it also showed with Nuno Santos, he's completely. He left the game injured, not injured because he's ready to go for the next game, but I think he left it all on the field, and that goes to show you. I think he played a fundamental role in the game. But I mean, in the first half, I was expecting a little bit more from Cabral. He was lost in a shuffle at Pep and Pep and Bemba had him in their pocket. He was locked down. So it was one of those things when Porto scores. That's the thing about Sporting is they're a good team. They can score, but man, they don't have that goal scorer. And so when you're down 2-1, especially when you had a 1-0 lead, the confidence was lacking a little bit there for me going into the second half. I'll be honest, at halftime. But I mean, we went toe to toe. But that's my first half analysis. Oh, right. And not to mention another thing right off the rip. Don, there was the free kick. I forget who did it. Who kicked the free kick? I think it was Sergio Oliveira from right in the beginning of the game. Those are the things that make the difference in big teams. And I think last year, we had Maximiano, who's a very good prospect, but he was put in there, I think, a lot because the other guys that were there sucked. I mean, Renan is not a Sporting level keeper, and so when there was an opportunity to go in, Maximiano looked like the best. Of the ones that were there. Adan shows us, I think, a different level, and it transmits a confidence to the back line, and especially the guys that are, to the team itself, having a player like Adan. It's night and day, and he's been a great signing, I think, for Sporting up until now. So,
I'll just give you my quick analysis. Number one, it was a very poor clearance. By Luis Diaz. I thought it was actually Zaidu, but it was actually Luis Diaz that had the very poor clearance that resulted in the first goal. Something that should have never happened. That was a ball that should have been cleared far, far away. It was cleared poorly, went right to Porro. Porro decided to cross it in. It was a one-time shot. The goalkeeper can't do anything about it. I've heard some people complain about Marchesín not having strong hands. Dude, by the time he put his hand on it, the ball was already halfway into the goal.
True.
You can't do anything about that. I think that Porto settled down. Zaidu makes up for his not Zaidu, but Zaidu makes up for the Luis Diaz mistake. Finds Uribe, one-time shot past the keeper. Nothing he could really do about it. And then it was kind of back and forth, really not a lot going on. And then Jesus Corona on a quick counter, with a lot of merit that has to be also given to Luis Diaz. Was able to find some space and he pokes it home 2-1. And then I think that's where the mistake started for Porto. It was a huge goal down that, right before the half, huge goal right before the half. It took the air out of Sporting. It gave a lot of momentum for Porto. But then after that, I think the wheels came off, and it had to do with the changes. I just didn't agree with the changes, with the substitutions. It wasn't what I liked. I was hoping to see Zaidu looked pretty good. The guy that was clearly the weakest link for Porto was Manafá. Manafá by far should have been subbed at 30 minutes.
Sure.
Now Manafá had the game of his life last week against Marítimo, or 2 weeks ago against Marítimo. He was the best player on the field, and when Manafá is the best player on the field, and you don't win the game, there's a reason why. Now in this game, he was the worst of the 22 players on the field. He was absolutely terrible, and Sporting figured it out, and they attacked him immediately. So bad that Manchester City today attacked Manafá when he came in. They were very prepared for him when he came in, so they went right at him. George, I'm gonna bring up this question right here from Lingas, our faithful fan. Let's talk about penalty. Penalty or no penalty? This is going to be the first controversial play because there were others. So I'll let you take that one, George.
Now before George answers, are you talking about the Luis Neto or are you talking about the one with Porto?
I'm talking about the one with Porto because Luis Neto.
Because there was some criticism about the handball in the box.
Yeah, which that was actually first. So we'll do chronicle order. Is that a penalty, George? Yes or no?
I don't think it's a penalty.
Jeff?
So I don't think it's a penalty either because it was a natural fall. But I wanted to bring something up. Years ago, Benfica played Sporting, and Beto. There was a penalty against Beto, former Central de Sporting, with a similar fall where he fell backwards in a natural position. They called it a PK against Sporting on that. And it reminded me of that play. I'm not sure if the rules changed at all. You know what I mean? Sometimes, the referees
they change.
So if they change, they change. But it brought that to my attention. I know, our good friend Paul Fernandes brought that up to me. On the Fans of Portuguese Saga, he brought up the Luis Neto play. I don't think it's a PK. I think it's a natural fall for him. He was, holding his arm up or putting his arm down in a natural fall. He never gained any possession or any favor with the handball. So I think it was definitely a no thing. But I know it was controversial. That's why I figured I'd bring it up.
All right. I'm gonna say that I don't believe that those type of plays could be called penalties. I'm sorry. It just where's the guy supposed to put his arm? But the new ruling is that it should have been a penalty, and that makes no sense. I mean, how are you supposed to have a time when the ball ricochets off your leg and it goes to your body or goes to your arm, and it changed the trajectory of the ball? I don't think it's a penalty. So I think we all agree that it was the correct call. All right, so let's move on to the Zaidu /Sport call. George, penalty or no penalty?
I don't think it's a penalty either.
Jeff?
I don't think it's a penalty, but I will say that I saw a replay, a different replay, which actually focuses on the feet. Where there is a contact of Zaidu on the feet of Pot. I know everybody was focusing on the arm on the shoulder, which was I myself was looking at the same thing. But there was contact with the feet where he took him. He did clip him from the legs. I'm a believer that I don't believe in easy fouls, especially for PKs. So to me, it's not a PK. But I do think, there was I know there was a touch. by Zaidu on the legs, a clip anyway. So,
all right. So our beloved friend Mulingas is asking, why did the ref call a penalty? And then he had to go to the VAR, which he did. And he rectified his decision. He at first decided to go with the penalty and the red card. He went to the VAR and he saw that it wasn't enough to call a penalty, and then he reversed the call. Was the call correct? It really depends on. I know the Sportingistas are upset. A lot of them are that it was not called a penalty. I don't know what the argument is. If the argument is that you thought it was not a penalty, then why are you arguing why the call was reversed? If the call was reversed, it's because it wasn't a penalty.
I know from my side, from the Benfica side, I know what the problem is with that, and the problem with that is that the prior week there was a PK called against Marítimo that clearly was not a penalty. The referee is speeding up the play so the penalty gets taken before there's any type of review, and there's no review for a play that is clearly not a penalty. So my problem, and I know that a lot of people's problems, especially in my club, is why are you reviewing a penalty one weekend and you're not reviewing a penalty that clearly wasn't a penalty the other weekend? So there's got to be consistency around the reviews of these plays. Because clearly anybody could see, and I know last show you said it as well. It clearly was not a penalty. The Marega play against Marítimo. So what were the referees in the bathroom or something for 3-4 minutes?
Remember what I said on that penalty last week with the Port Marítimo game. When the referee says, and I'm talking about the center ref, says he does not want to listen to what the VAR says because he saw it himself, he does have that power to do it. Not saying that it was justified.
But it still doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
Because somebody upstairs got to be saying, "Dude, you really want to see this because it's not a penalty."
Agreed.
And why doesn't the referee last week do the same thing that the referee from this week did? And my other question is this. Switch the shirts. Would the penalty be reviewed?
Oh, I think it would be reviewed either way.
I think it would be reviewed. I don't agree with Varandas on that one. As far as if this was, I mean, I do believe that there is influence when they play against smaller teams. Would it be reviewed or not? But when it comes to a game like that, I think they. My thing with that is to me, if you're going to overturn something, you have to have without a doubt, a reason to overturn something. So if a referee makes a call on the field, it's because he saw something on the field. He saw something that had to have been called. So it goes up to the VAR, which is the right thing to do. What does the VAR see? The VAR sees the same thing. They see a touch on the shirt. And I'm not sure if they analyze the foot. But at that point, now you're questioning whether the referee, whether there was enough. I mean, everything in slow motion is a lot more, telling than it is if it's not in slow motion. And so, to me, the ref's call on the field, there has to be indisputable evidence to overturn a call in order for, and I don't know if that was the case there. Was it a penalty? No. But was there enough evidence on that video to say, hey, the ref was absolutely wrong? I don't know if you can do that either. So that's a tough one. I think the call by the ref, it wouldn't be a scandal if it stood. You know what I mean?
All right. And it wouldn't have been such a scandal if it did stand. Now, this statement right here, I don't know if you can see that, Jeff and George, by Victor Pino. VAR has more power in the game. That is actually very incorrect. The guy that has the most power in the game is the center, and that is final.
I don't know about that.
No, he does. He can overrule anything that the VAR says.
That's why he has to go back to the screen and make the final decision, because the VAR recommends him to go take a look at the screen, and then he goes there and makes the final decision himself. So the ultimate decision is the ref.
Well, when we start talking about the Rio Benfica game, none of the plays were reviewed, and all of the final calls were made by the VAR.
Again, because it all comes down to what the center ref is willing to take in terms of the information that he receives from the VAR.
Right.
So if the VAR says so, if I'm the center ref and you're the VAR, George, and you
you think that's correct?
No, I don't, because
it should be like England, where England, the referee has absolutely no power. The VAR makes the decision. The referee doesn't even go to the monitor to take a look at it.
And you know what? I think that's probably that's probably a better situation.
A better system. Faster decision making, and there's absolutely no, why did you go see this play this week and you didn't go see the play last week?
Exactly.
That would be a better system, but it's not the system that's in place now. In England it is. But I'm saying in Portugal it's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. So in Portugal right now, it's the ref is the ultimate decider. And if you, for example, in Benfica's games, if there's an offside, if it's a clear offside, if the guy's 2 feet offside, they don't need the referee to go check on the camera. But if it's a disputable call and they say, hey, listen, this is my recommendation. You might want to look at this. I think that there is, this wasn't a PK. Go take a look. What we're seeing. That's when the ref, I think, goes to the thing. I don't know I don't think we're privy to any of the conversations that go on to the with the VAR, but I would assume or imagine that that's what happens.
And I think that's one of the things that your president wants to change, right?
Wants clarity.
Wants the VAR to be live.
Yeah, he wants the VAR to be live, where it is like in Germany, where you can hear the dialogue between the two.
Oh, I'd love to see that. I'd love that.
I would love to see that myself. I mean, I have to admit. Victor continues to insist that VAR is in charge of soccer games. That is incorrect, because that is not true, not in every league. And we just discussed it. In Portugal, it is not like that. The center ref has the most control versus, for example, in England. All right, we'll move to the second half. Jeff, what was your analysis in the second half?
Sorry, I'm talking to my son. The analysis in the second half. I was very impressed with Sporting in the second half. They were a team that was looking for the result. They took it to Porto. They went searching, and they were ambitious with their moves. And I say that because a lot of their subs. I'm looking here on the. If you give me a second here, at their substitutions, a lot of their players that they put in were offensive minded. I mean, they brought in Sporad, they brought in Vieto. They took chances by taking Luis Neto out and dropping Nuno Mendes. To give good, and they put Gonçalo Plata in Nuno Mendes' spot there on the left flank. So they were very ambitious. They weren't afraid to get blown out in Alvalade. They weren't afraid to take it to them. And I think João Palhinha to me is the X factor. He brings a certain muscle, a certain attitude to the team that wasn't there last year, and that was currently present, and I think what picked that team up. Porta's another one. Brings a certain confidence, a certain attitude, and I think those type of personalities is what allows teams to that are down in a result to come back. And so they not only had the goal where it was an amazing play by Palhinha to win against Anderson, the 50-50, in which Porto made a nice cross to Sporado. Sporado most calcanhar, had him long, but then Vieto came in and put it in. But then right after that, I think a couple minutes after, there was a cross into the box. I don't know I forgot who crossed it, but Vieto was on the 6. If the guy, if the guy knew how to head the ball, we would have been up 3-2. And that right there, Sporting, my fear was after they scored the second goal, they would have been passing the ball, came out them, for the result. And they didn't. They went there and they looked for the win. And I think that's telling for the attitude that Ruben Amorim brings to the team. Personally, I think that's just an example of the coach, in my opinion, of what he brings that transmits to the team as far as a personality is concerned. And not only that, but also João Palhinha, who I think is a tremendous midfielder.
All right. My second half analysis is quite simple. I think this is where Sergio Conceição lost 2 points. Around the 55-minute mark, he decides to drop his lines for some reason, and he tries to, unexplainedly, he tries to defend the 2-1 lead. Why are you going to try to defend the 2-1 lead? Is amazing. You want to defend for 35 plus minutes is suicidal, and eventually he lost. And it all started with Luis Diaz. He was probably your most dangerous player going forward. He was having a good game. You decide to take him off for Felipe Anderson, and we'll get to him in a second. Musa Marega, who cannot play as a 9 in a 4-3-3. He decides to put him in a 4-3-3, and Sergio Conceição contradicts himself in the press conference because he said, "Oh, I can't play certain guys because they just got here." Well, the last time I checked, Tony Martinez just got there. Why are you playing him instead of Denemi is beside me? That's a different point. I think Tony Martinez did not touch the ball the whole time he was there, except for that one play in which they called a foul on a high kick on Adon when he came out. Wilson Manafa eventually came out. Nanu came in, and he came in well.
Nanu came in very well.
He did. He came in very well. Otavio was a shadow of what he normally is, and this is another problem that I have. So you throw in Baró. Baró is not a defensive player, a defensive-minded player. He's a guy that likes to go on the attack. Your number one priority, make him do, go recover balls. That is not his forte. He did have 2 opportunities, one on a counter, which he decided wrong. Should have passed the ball down the wing. The other one, he missed a one-time shot that could have been the 3-2 right at the end, where I'm pretty sure that a lot of Sportingistas had their heart in their mouth if he actually connected. The last sub that he did make was Taremi. Taremi did more in 2 minutes than all the strikers that Porto had combined.
Sure.
And it's starting to puzzle me why this guy doesn't play more. I think I always said he would be a very good sub. He does change the game. He's a guy that needs to get fed more. And I think in the Portuguese league, he probably should start starting over Marega, because Marega's obviously not motivated to be there. Anything you want to add, George?
No, I mean, no, just what I said before. I think it was a good game by Sporting. Second half, good second half, really good second half. And for all you Sportingistas that doubted Ruben Amorim's dedication, maybe because he played across the Segunda Circular, you should go watch the YouTube video of him in the bancadas when Sporting scores the second goal and how he celebrates. He almost throws himself out of the bancada over there.
But hold on a second. Was that celebrating as a Sportingista, or was that celebrating because he's an anti-Portista?
Doesn't really matter.
I don't know. Nice try there. Nice try. But I can see, you can put the gas can away on that one. But, I'll tell you, I think Ruben Amorim is just like anybody else in that profession. When you wear, when you work with the certain guys every day, he inherited a team, to me, mal fait, by Varanda Jukviana and by Marcel Kaiser. He inherited, and Seelish, because he replaced Seelish, but the team was formed by Kaiser and Viana. He inherited a team not in his image, but fortunately, in a weird way, ironically, for COVID, he was able to play some young players and see some diamonds in the rough. And I know he gets I know when you practice with the same amount with the same players day in and day out, you start forgetting about what you personally hate inside. And you start thinking about the trials and tribulations that your roster goes through on a day-to-day basis, and what these young kids have gone through in order to kind of take it over to the next level. I know I spoke to you earlier, Bruno. If I'm a Sportingista. I've been Sportingista all my life. But if I found out my son, signed the contract to play for Benfica, I'd be the happiest guy in the world. You know what I mean? And it's it has nothing to do with my love for Sporting or my hate for Benfica. It has to do with the love for my son. So in this sense, you're a coach of a team. Benfica is the past. You know what I mean? I don't believe. Maybe when Ruben Amorim retires, he can put his Benfica jersey back on or whatever it may be. But he wants the 11 guys on the pitch to win. He wants the Balneário to win. He wants to celebrate with those guys. And so when he quando gritou goal, that was a goal for a team that deserved to score that second goal. That was a goal from for a team that fought through 90 minutes. And earned what I consider, a justifiable tie, and it wouldn't have been a scandal if it was a win. So I'm proud to have Ruben Amorim as the coach, and I expect Ruben Amorim to be there a long time and to justify the 10 million euros or whatever the number is now. You know what I mean? So.
16 million. We're at 16 million and counting.
Who's counting? Nobody's counting.
I do want to add one thing, because I did mention his name, Felipe Anderson. That was also a play right at the end where you cannot lose the ball. Felipe Anderson was a guy you can hear Sergio Conceição constantly yelling at Felipe Anderson to run after the ball, chase after the ball, apply pressure. Something that he was not doing. And clearly at the end of the game, there was, in the press conference, you can definitely hear that Sergio Conceição sent that message to him where, all right, you came from the EPL. Yeah, you think you're not really playing at the Portuguese, the Portuguese league is not that great, but we still have good players. We still have good coaches, and we're still trying to win something. And if you can't do what we ask, then you shouldn't be here. So Felipe Anderson today already got the message, because he didn't even play against Manchester City. He's a good player. It's either get on or get off. That's basically how it is. He's definitely got to change his style. I think another guy that needs to play more definitely is Taremi. At least come on a lot sooner at the minimum, but I think he should be the starter. He's a guy that could probably score a lot more goals, because he's definitely much different. He knows how to play with his back to goal versus Marega.
Well, guys like Felipe Anderson, you had mentioned, remind me a lot, and we had spoken earlier, but remind me a lot of last season's situation with Bolasi and Jesse Rodriguez. You got two veterans that come from a superior league, and are loaned out to prove their worth. The motivation level's not there. The amor de camisola is not there. I would much rather have an 18, 19-year-old player from Olival, than a Felipe Anderson, because that guy, the Romario Baru that sent that that feels the jersey, the weight of the jersey, to me is going to leave it all on the field. He's not going to hold back when João Palhinha is coming in on a 50-50. He's going to put his foot there, and if he gets injured, if he doesn't, it is what it is. He's not thinking about, hey, let me stay healthy so when I go back up from on my loan, I can go back and play for my for West Ham or wherever he came from. You know what I mean? That's my biggest problem with these guys that come from big leagues, man. They don't come with the heart and the drive to show the jersey. They don't respect Futebol do Porto or whoever they represent the way they should, not the way these young players do. So I applaud Sérgio Conceição for calling him out. I applaud him for sitting him, and if it doesn't wake him up, I'll applaud him for kicking him back to where he came from. So
that's it. Now, so we can move forward, Jeff. Mulinga's over here is asking, Jeff, what do you say about Varandas? Is he a good president or a bad president?
Varandas is a bad president, and I say he's a bad president. Not so much as
Jeff,
far as the construction of the team.
What do you want to go say right now? Because remember, Victor took pictures with him, so he's like.
Varandas. So I'll be honest. Varandas was the guy that I wanted to win the presidency when he ran. My biggest problem with Varandas is his war against Jubileu. And that's a war you shouldn't take. There's nobody more dedicated to the club than the clock. At the end of the day, they travel with you, to Russia, to Finland, to wherever you're playing. They're there every week. Granted, sometimes clocks can maybe take advantage a little bit too much. Whatever. That's the politics behind the scenes. But that's the things you take care of behind the scenes. And Varandas takes it to pa praça pública and to go ahead with the clock rather than focus on the things, the shortcomings of his club, which I think are more important. So you start seeing, obviously not this year because of COVID, but you start seeing attendance levels drop, and there's a big problem with that. And the fans don't feel there's a big disconnect between the fans and the club, and that's not good for the survival of the club. Now, as far as the idea of what he's doing, or at least promoting, whether it was by default because of COVID and now you got these young players playing, or if it was planned by design when Futebol came, I don't know, only they know. But as far as what they're building, as far as the roster, as far as getting young talents, players like Gonçalo Plata, players like Pedro Porro, who's a U21 Spanish international, I can go on with Nuno Mendes and Mateus Nunes and all these guys, Tiago Tomás. With all these guys that are coming up, I think it's a brilliant strategy, because at the end of the day, there's no way we're going to compete financially with Benfica. There's no way we're going to compete financially with Futebol Porto, even though with the fair play, there's always ways around it. So the only way to be able to compete is to use your youth and to go through the academy, and that's what they're doing more so than any other team right now in Portugal. I think I'm not sure what the average age is for teams on the pitch, or at least team rosters, but I'm willing to bet that Sporting has at least top 3 youth young team in Portugal. So that's a credit to Futebol Amorim, his idea. When he said in an interview the other day, I'd much rather have a 17-year-old player than go pick up some Joe Schmo or just to say we picked them up. I agree with that. I remember one year Jorge Jesus went out to go get Barcos, the Punta de Lança que vale nada veio do Corinthians. You know what I mean? Just go get him for what? You know what I mean? When you got young players on the youth system, Jorge Jesus' way of doing things in Sporting. I mean, granted he had some great acquisitions with Slimani and others, but he threw a lot of crap against the wall and hoping that some stuck. And we can't afford to do that. Sporting can't afford to do that, and I think Futebol Amorim is taking advantage of the youth, and that's encouraged by Varandas. Do I think Varandas is going to get reelected? Absolutely not. I think if he gets reelected, then there needs to be an investigation in the election for sure. But I mean, hey, for now, you know what? He got elected. He got elected democratically, and I think we should respect that until the election. That's the way it goes. That's the way I feel anyway.
Well, all right.
Can I just say something real quick?
Sure.
I think
Sure.
Varanda's a great president. He's just horrible once he opens up his mouth. I think his battle with the clocks, it should be something that he's actually recognized for, and not something that he's penalized for. Because these clocks, they think if they stay on their lane and they go to Norway and they go to England and they go to Spain and they follow the team for free. Let's make it clear that it's for free. The teams pay for all that stuff, most of the stuff, and they stay in their lane and they do that instead of trying to elect presidents, and instead of
Sure.
going to a stadium and whistling players and this and that. If they stayed in their lane, yes, they're a great asset. Once they get out of their lane, they're very bad for soccer, and I include my clock in it as well. And as far as the Ruben Amorim getting credit for this whole thing about the youth and stuff like that, I think it comes from the president. It doesn't come from Ruben Amorim. Ruben Amorim, there was if you look at where Ruben Amorim came from as a coach, he came from the youth systems. He came from two youth systems. The last one being Braga's youth system, and that's how he transitioned to Sporting. And one of the reasons why Varanda went and spent the money that he spent on getting Ruben Amorim is because he is a coach that will put the youngsters playing. And Ruben Amorim, Jorge Jesus, whatever coach you want to put in front of you, if they're given the option of a 17-year-old or an option of getting a $25 million or $30 million player, they're going to choose the $25-30 million player. Ruben Amorim, in this case, he doesn't have a choice. He doesn't have a choice but to play with the 17-year-old and the 18-year-old, and he's very good at what he does, playing with coaching those kids. But that comes from the top. It doesn't come from Ruben Amorim. The bad thing about Varandas is when he opens up his mouth and who he has next to him, because Hugo Viana doesn't understand crap about. He could have been an okay soccer player, but he doesn't understand anything about buying and selling players and all that good stuff. Varanda needs somebody next to him like that actually understands the buying and selling and how the whole transactional side of soccer works. But to me, I think Varandas is okay as long as he keeps his mouth shut.
All right. We're going to move forward because we're at 51 minutes. George, Rio Ave, Benfica. Do you have that lineup or do you want me to get it?
I do. I have the lineups.
All right.
Let me just get that game here.
Just so you guys are scoring at home, Rio Ave 0, Benfica 3.
5. Only 3 counted.
Some guy, I understand that you want offside goals and all that other stuff to count, but
offside goals. Which one? The one that he wasn't offside with the crooked lines, and that wasn't even Sport TV. But okay, let's go with the lineup. So we played Flaco Dimas up on net, Grimaldo on the left, Vertonghen and Otamendi in the middle, André Almeida on the right hand side, Everton, Pizzi, Gilberto, and Rafa in the middle. And then we had Darwin Núñez and Waldschmidt up front.
And for Rio Ave, it was Kizek, Pinto, Mont, Borkovic, and Santos, Tarantini, and Augusto, Mané, Piazon, Gerald, and Moreira up top. And we lost Jeff there for a second. He should be coming back on.
I think he's switching computers.
All right. No worries. Go ahead. So what was your analysis on this?
Look, I think it was when you look at the stats and you look at ball possession and all that good stuff, it was a pretty even game. Ball possession was 51-49 to Benfica. Shots on target, we had 6. Rio Ave had 2. Overall shots, 13 versus 4 for Rio Ave. When you look at these stats, it looked it was a pretty even game. But watching the game, I think Benfica just came into the game really strong. It looks like we have our standard lineup. that Jesus is going to be playing with up front. We spoke about it a little bit before. Val Smith and Darwin Nunes, they're just awesome players. Darwin Nunes, which really surprises me, he's very strong player, very strong on the assist side. Still looking for that for that first goal. Had one that was called back, but very strong on opening up space and then passing the ball. Not selfish at all with the passing. Um, Looks like Benfica with on the midfield. We stabilized the midfield with Gabriel. We took away the player that in my eyes cost us last year's championship, because since he was put on the lineup since January, we started losing points like I don't know what. So Weigl, that's where he belongs. He belongs in the bench. He doesn't belong. He could play the last 5-10 minutes when we're up by three goals, but other than that, he could just stay in the bench because we don't need him right now. And in the middle, Vertonghen. In the back, Vertonghen, Otamendi. Very good game by both. Just a few minutes here and there of a couple of plays only that there was concentração up there. Really sad news when it comes to Andre Almeida with the injury that he had. He'll be out 6 to 9 months. Looks like. And we started getting in trouble once Andre Almeida got hurt. Gilberto came in. I'm hearing people on my club saying that Gilberto had an awesome game. Jorge Jesus said Gilberto had a good game. I don't see it that way. I saw him lost on the field. That right side, there was so much space, especially when Benfica lost the ball. The play was already in our box, and you look at the TV and Gilberto still running from the midfield. He's a very good attacking player, but on the defensive side, he still needs to do a lot of work. With that. Overall, I think it was an awesome game. Really nice goals. Everton with a beautiful assist for Walshmith. We had a couple of goals called back for offsides, very close offsides. But I figured out why. I figured out why these games this weekend there was a lot of issues with the VAR. I actually figured out who was in the VAR this weekend. I don't know if you guys can see or not, but it's Pinto Costa and Jota Marques that were working the VAR. So all these callbacks. Bruno, you can smile.
We'll talk about callbacks in a little bit.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, all right,
you're good. But yeah, awesome game by Benfica. I like it. Consistency on the midfield and the back four. Looks like we're stabilizing now. We need a couple more games with Vertonghen and Otamendi. Now it's going to be interesting to see who he plays in the back in Andre Almeida's spot. Is he going to stick with Gilberto, or is he going to put Diogo Gonçalves that he's been saying that he's been working with him on that right fullback spot. So let's wait and see. But I liked it. It was a really good game by Benfica.
Jeff, what's your opinion on this game?
Well, I'll be honest. I didn't watch the game. I was at my son's game, so I wasn't able to watch it. But I kept up with the with the Ebola and the incidents that were going on to the game. I'll tell you, with Benfica, it's I haven't seen a Benfica roster as deep or with as much quality, at least, as this one in a long time. They've spent a lot of money. They pretty much went all in. It looks like Luis Vieira went all in with this roster, and it's proven. Everton Sublenia is a fantastic player. Waldschmidt looks like Darwin. Is starting to come around. You
you plug in Seferovic, he's the he's a backup. Backup, whatever. He's he comes in. He's got 4 goals already, or 3 goals in the league. He's decisive. He can score. They're complete. They're and Zeus wanted more. I think Vlaco Dimos is a fantastic goalkeeper. He's decisive. There's very few weaknesses. I mean, Andre Almeida was, to me, arguably a weakness, I guess, if you will. That right side is a weakness, so losing him, it might be kind of a blessing in disguise if Diogo Gonçalves becomes the player that Quentin was when Benfica, when Zeus, made that adjustment on the opposite side. So, I didn't watch the game. I know there was a few overturned plays, and I know, the Benfica fans, had a lot of comments about, the VAR not working in their favor. But, ultimately, I don't think Benfica needs this year needs the VAR too much. There's no excuses to not place as well as they should be, and it's unfortunately the Portuguese league has become a little bit top heavy when it comes to teams. If Porto continues to lose points here and there, like they did against Marítimo, like they did against Sporting, even though Sporting is considered a top 3 team. Porto is campeão nacional, and they, without fans in the stadium, it's a neutral site pretty much. There's they lost points there in Alvalade. Benfica, they shouldn't have many problems taking this league. I know it's early, but they have a lead already. They're running on all cylinders. I think the only thing that can pretty much slow them down is European competition. Once they stop playing, midweek, stop piling on injuries, or maybe having guys that normally should be playing discontent in the locker room. Factors like that. But when it comes to on the field, I mean, it is what it is, man. It's this is a very, very strong Benfica team. So.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't have an analysis for the game. I do find it interesting. I didn't watch the game, but I do find it interesting that looking at the statistics, possession was 51-49 for Benfica. So it wasn't this. The score represented a 3-0, win. And Zeus said, that it should have been 5-0 or whatever, 6-0 or whatever. He said he scored 5 goals, but only 3 counted. But the possession was very similar, which showed that Rio Ave had initiative to make it a game. But obviously they weren't capable of doing it. Yves Pinto, I think is his name, is the head coach. Said that nothing.
Mario Silva.
What is it again?
Mario Silva is his name.
The coach for Rio Ave?
Yeah.
Mario Silva.
Okay, well, I know somebody had said that whatever plan that they put out on the field didn't work out to the way they should. Nothing worked out. So they attacked. They played well. In stages according to the write up. But obviously Benfica was more eficaz and they had more chances. And parabéns for Benfica.
Well, I mean, I think this game is pretty much summed up like this: when Benfica catches themselves 4-on-2, 5-on-2, something, whatever number on 2. You're not going to have much chance of surviving. I don't know where the Rio Ave defenders were when you're only defending with 2 guys. That's just how I see it. I saw 6 still shots of part of the games of where you're finding yourselves the defenders just 2 on whatever. I mean, how are you supposed to defend that? 2 on 4, 2 on 6. 2 on 4, 2 on 6, 2 on 5. That's just not gonna. It's not gonna go well. And Rio Ave, we'll see how hard they play against other clubs.
Well, again, I didn't watch the game, but I mean, based on possession and based on the opportunities that you're saying, it sounds like Benfica gave Rio Ave the ability to play the game. and took advantage of the transitions, you know, in the ability to transition fast. And that's, you know, that's the name of the game when it comes to teams like that. Decision makers in the final, you know, the final third of the field. I saw one of the plays where I believe Sablinia gave was one of the goals. It was a nice touch pass
to a back heel to
Walshman.
Washmith.
Yeah,
that was the first goal.
First goal.
Yeah. So, well, it was
4-on-2.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you know,
But Bruno, you're talking 4-on-2, like Braga, like Rival purposely gave a 4-on-2.
No, I didn't say anything purposely. I said
we recover the ball, and we have very fast players up front, and that's why, like I mentioned it also, that Jeff is saying, you know, that was the first thing I said when you were transitioning to a different computer or phone. With the statistics, it shows 51-49.
Okay, I didn't hear you say
which is a statistic that if you look just at the statistics, like, well, you know, what an even played game. And that wasn't the case. It was Benfica offered the game over to Rio Ave,
and they transitioned.
And on the counter, we just killed
That's
them.
what I'm saying. You're not going to win games if you're defending with two guys versus 4, 5, and 6. That's what I'm saying.
But also it takes class, you know, in the final third of the field. I mean, like, you know, Mateus Nunes in the game against Porto was one-on-one with Marchesín. You know, and he decided to take the shot. Marchesín made the save. In this case, in this game, the replay that I saw, Sablinia had the ball on the left side, and he was, you know, the keeper came out to challenge him, and with a nice subtle pass to a trailing Walshmith. You know, that's the kind of class, the finishing class, whether it's distributing or finishing yourself, that, you know, that these players that you spend 20 million, 25 million, that they should, you know, they should produce. And that's why it's, you know, again, it's going to be very tough to beat Benfica. You know, a team like Rio Ave it can't be like Rio Ave from last year against Benfica. Like Rio Ave, you know, even though they're playing at home, they don't have the fans there. There's no intimidation factor. It's you know, it's toe to toe. And so to me, Rio Ave has to play like a small team, and that, you know, in Bashar's Lingas, you know, pretty much park the bus, if you will, you know, and play the counter. You know, frustrate Benfica. You know, have it 0-0. For as long as you're not to sit there. I mean, for you to get a transition with, you know, defending on two players, you know, that means Rio Ave, again, I didn't watch the game, but I mean, I'm assuming Rio Ave was ambitious, and Benfica baited them into becoming ambitious and took advantage of the opportunities that you know, that were given to them. So,
all right. Anything that you guys else want to add to this this game?
The only thing I want to add is that I was very disappointed that with a 3-0 lead, and with Gonçalo Ramos in the bench, Jesus didn't decide to give him any run. I think these games, you know, games that are, you know, 3-0, 4-0, 5-1, or whatever, these are the games that you need to put this kid in to get some run, because if you catch an injury up front, you know, you already have some experience in games, and we all saw from last year the only game that he played against Paço de Ferreira, it only took him 5 minutes to score 2 goals. So he needs to get some play.
All right. We'll just quickly touch Manchester City 3, Porto 1. Marchesín was in goal. Malang Sarr, Pep, Chasel Mavimba, and then we had Zaidu as the left back. So we had a 5, and then we went 3, Sergio Oliveira, Uribe, and then Fabio Vieira as the 10. And then up top, 2, Luis Diaz and Marega up top. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to watch this game. I was watching this game, and, you know, I felt that Porto did a pretty good job in terms of giving the initiative to Manchester City, and they were going to play on their error, and they were going to counter, and they did a good job. They got a quick goal. Luis Diaz scored early. It was in the 14th minute. Cuts across the box, hits a far post, and Porto's up 1-0. And then the polemica happens. Penalty or no penalty, George?
I didn't see the running play. I saw a still of the Manchester City player, you know, stepping on the keeper's ankle. I don't know if that was the same play or not, but I didn't get a chance to see a running play. I'll actually while you guys comment, I'll take a look at it right now, real quick.
I actually can send it to you. Just give me a second. I actually don't have it.
It's fine. I'm looking at it now.
Jeff, were you able to see it?
No, I saw the same thing that George saw. What I heard from about the play was that the Marchesine, the play where the city player stepped on Marchesine preceded the foul that the PK that Pep committed. If that was the case, then the VAR should have overturned that and not been a PK and called the foul against the city player. I didn't see the contact from Pep because I wasn't able to watch the game, but I did see the still photo. And again, if that happened before that, obviously the VAR should come in and overturn that. So it should not have been a PK. I got to check the replay myself. I'm gonna, I didn't see
I'm
it.
actually going to send it to you.
No, it's not. It's not a PK. Marchesine actually kicks the ball out, and then gets stepped on. So it's not a PK.
Right, but it's a foul, right? So the guy steps on Marchesine's foot, correct?
Yeah, steps on Marchesine's foot, but Marchesine when he
Check your messenger, Jeff.
So Bruno, this was the actual play that they called the PK on. Not a
So
PK.
you have a $1 billion team, $1 billion roster, who shouldn't even be in Champions League right now, and this is the help that they're getting.
No, not a penalty at all. That's a
Jeff,
ridiculous play.
I'm going to show you another video. I'm going to share with you right now. It's the foul that originates the second goal. Tell me if that is a foul.
You're sending this to me on Messenger?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
All right, one second. No, it's not pulling up.
It's not?
Hold on. No. Could you send that to me on email?
I can try.
Sorry about that.
It's all good.
Technical difficulties here.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Now what's this second play? There was a foul called.
That one was that originated. That originated the second goal, the free kick goal.
Yeah, that's a foul. He kicks his Achilles, his back heel.
At
least from what I'm seeing.
I've seen fouls way worse than that.
Oh, no, I get it. I understand that,
and that was not called. But I'm gonna disagree with you. I don't think that you could call a foul on that. I'm sorry. That was very weak because I'll tell you right now, there was one that was the same foul on Fabio Vieira, actually a little worse. And the referee said play on. The referee said play on, and Manchester City created almost a scoring. They created a scoring chance off of that. How do you go from being so certain, calling a foul here that resulted in a goal, and then the other way around on the other side of the field, and you don't call anything, you say play on?
No, but hold on, time out. I'm seeing the highlights now. The play that you called me, the PK video that you sent me, that wasn't the PK. The PK was a foul on that Pep committed.
What foul do you see on Pep?
Pep just ran over Sterling. That's what the foul was called. The PK foul was called.
Nah, man, that's the one. The video that I sent you, dude.
No, that's not the PK. The PK wasn't.
Yeah, that's the PK.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. I'm looking at the highlights now.
No, I'm telling you, they called the one that they're highlighting. They're calling the one that whoever steps on Marchesine is the one that they called.
No, Marchesine gets stepped on. The play continues. The ball hits the post.
No.
Yeah, Bruno, I'm watching the play right now, dude. I'm watching the whole thing now.
Okay.
Marchesini gets up, the ball hits the post, goes over to Sterling, and Pep runs him over.
I don't. I no, man. I don't.
I'll show you.
You can share. I
I'll
don't think that is
record it and send it to you.
okay. Yeah, because it's just not. This was what you call typical.
Now you can argue if that's a foul and the play should have stopped there.
Because there's no advantage. There's no advantage on a penalty.
That's one thing, but that wasn't what was called. That's not what was called. I'm going to show you right now what was called.
I'm patiently waiting.
Yep, you're getting it right now.
Jeff, did you get a chance to see it?
You got it right now.
Okay. No, he called a penalty way before that one, dude.
No, it wasn't, dude.
Yeah.
No, bro. Right now, it's giving you the. Just look at it.
No, he called it before, dude. He called the one. He called he called the one that steps on Marchesín.
That is the same play. That's the continuation of that play. Watch it.
Okay. So I'm glad that you brought that up. All right. So let's just say, hypothetically, let's just say that is the one that he should have called, right? Or that's the penalty that he called. There's a foul on Marchesín before. It should have been a red card.
Okay, that's different. That's a different thing. But that's not what he called. That's what I'm telling you.
So either way, Porto got prejudiced. Doesn't matter what you're talking about.
I just sent you a shorter one of the replay, but that was a foul that Pep committed on Sterling. But you know the argument is should the foul have been called on the foul against Marchesín where he gets stepped on, and the answer is yes. It's a foul. He stepped on him.
He's clearly. I mean, there's still shots everywhere of that. I mean, it's embarrassing that this even happened. But regardless if that's the case or not, it again, a team 1 billion with a B needs this type of treatment to beat a team that's in FIFA financial fair play.
Oh, but you talk about Manchester City. When you talk about Manchester City, you know, even though they're a billion, this is not to me. It's not a top-notch team. You know, this team has always had trouble in Champions League and in Europe. So
there's your answer. They had trouble. They needed a call.
No. I mean, I don't know about that. You lost 3-1. You didn't lose 2-1. You lost 3-1.
The first goal was a penalty, and the second goal was a debatable foul.
I can see. I just saw a play here in the highlights where the goalie Fazilão Mafifia, between the goalie and the defenders, they're playing around with the ball, and the ball gets lost, and one of your players misses a wide open net with not even a keeper on net.
Yeah, but misses. But now you can't. This is not something to be missed with VAR. Yeah, how do you miss the goalkeeper getting stepped on?
The same way you miss a call on Porto Marítimo where there's no penalty and you get called a penalty against Marítimo.
Well, one thing, but they called it and they missed it in the whole 9. This was not missed. This was a red card. There was a foul on the referee that could have been. On the goalkeeper that could have been a red card. This is a game-changing play because 1, you fouled the goalkeeper. 2, it could have been a red card. 3, the team could have been seen 10, and they're down 1-0 at home. And then the second goal, it's still debatable if it's the foul or not.
I don't think it's a red card. I will call a foul. I don't think it's a red card but he steps on the leg because Marchesín comes sliding and he has nowhere to put his foot. So I don't think it was an intentional step on Marchesín. So I don't think you can call the red card. You could call the foul. The foul you can call, but you can't call a red card on that play.
you know that we've seen worse calls. So,
Dude, we've all seen worse calls, and we've seen better calls. But
the,
that
the bottom
doesn't
line
mean
is what my point is that Manchester City doesn't need this type of help, and they're getting it and this is a team that shouldn't even be in Champions League. When we all discussed that in the past, this is a team that shouldn't even be in this competition but money talk. Jeff, were you able to see the video or not? I can't hear you. We'll get to him in a second.
yeah.
I don't. I'm sorry, George, but this one I don't agree with you. I don't think that this is bad officiating. Best part of this game was that Sergio Conceição told Guardiola to go fuck himself, and he didn't even decide. He didn't even bother with shaking his hand at the end of the game. He just walked away.
Well,
Jeff,
they were arguing.
Can you hear me now?
I
Yeah,
can.
we're good. Yeah.
All right. So I was able to watch the video. It doesn't. It's obviously a clear PK, but the play before that, I agree with George. You can call it a foul, but it's not an aggressive. It's not an intentional step. I mean, the Marchesín goes out and plays the ball, hits the ball, and Aguero doesn't or whoever it was. I don't
know who it is. I don't remember.
Yeah, but
There's no way he could put his foot somewhere else. He's not expecting the slide.
Right, because he plays, he hits the post afterwards. I'm looking at it now. He plays it off right there. I mean, to me, it's a foul. It's not a red card in any way, shape, or form. It's a foul. So it preceded the PK on Pep. It shouldn't have been a PK. And to me, like it's a game changing play. Yes, but it's not. The game wasn't 2-1 or anything like that. I mean, Manchester City
1-0 Porto at the time.
No, at the time, right? But I mean, Manchester scored 3 goals. So if they didn't score 1 here, they would have scored 2.
The second goal was a debatable foul that came on a free kick, and then they didn't call it the same type of foul on the other side.
And if we're talking about red cards, let's not forget the Pep play where he goes to a 50-50 ball with Sterling. Mm-hmm. Sterling falls on the floor, and then Pep goes and knees him in the in his ribs again. He didn't learn in Spain while he was at Real Madrid that he could get a 10 or 12 game suspension for doing that same thing.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that the VAR didn't intervene, but the VAR did so much shit in this game. That would just be one more. It'd be too obvious. But at the end of the day, Manchester City, in my opinion, got carried in this game to a win. I'm looking at this. This is actually a very interesting statistic by Luis Teixeira. City Champions League at home. Last few years, lost at home against Basileia or Basel, tied against Shakhtar and Celtic, and recently just lost at home 5 against Leicester. Rich, yes. Good, yes. Not super strong. I do agree. So it is what it is. It was a bad reffing display. Had a heavy influence in the final result. I have yet to hear the press conference. I wasn't able to hear the press conference from Sergio Conceição, but I heard it was a good one because he did say a lot of things. He actually did say that he has to apologize to the Portuguese refs because if he thought that they were the worst in the world, then these in Champions League are very close. So that's going to be interesting. I'm reading Carlos here. He's saying Sergio Conceição set the team up scared 5 at the back.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you play 5 in the back or not because the 2 guys that were countering when you do have possession, it became a 3-5-2 because those 2 fullbacks, Corona and Zaidu, were very heavily influenced in the attack.
Right.
Porto, what they wanted was they were given the initiative, the possession to Manchester City, let them attack, and we wanted to beat them on the counter, in which we were doing with Corona and Zaidu. Because Zaidu, he might be a pretty good player. Maybe not now. 6 months from now, he's going to be a lot better. A year from now, he's going to be much, much better. But I think that's going to be something that I think he's going to be a very interesting player. I think that Porto is going to use a lot of this 5-3-2 or 3-5-2 this year. Once they signed Sar, that is definitely a player I thought that this is probably the way they're going to go in the future. Another guy that I think that I would like to I'd like to see more of is Ivan Nielsen. He was thrown in this game due to an injury for Corona, and he definitely played. He's a guy that they want to target right away. I think he's going to be an interesting player. So,
who does Porto play next week?
I think we play Marseille. No, it's Olympiacos next. Who won?
No. I'm saying I'm talking about in the league.
Oh, we're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to get our game picks.
Well, I say to touch a point on that, I think it's very important that Porto, they're coming off 3 negative results, and I as much as it's natural to lose to Manchester City in Manchester. I think pressure's building a little bit. You're 5 points behind your direct rival, after a handful of games. This game coming up at home, I don't know. I think there's a lot more pressure on that team. Than meets the eye, and I don't think Porto can be very confident as far as how this season has started, whether domestically or in the Champions League, regardless if they played City or not. I know it's not a scandal, you to lose in City, but I don't know. I just Porto, I don't know. I think there's a lot of nerves right now. I think Cedric Conceição's feeling a little bit of pressure, and when you got Pinto Costa responding to Varandas, and you got Cedric Conceição going on tirades against refs and whatever this and that.
Players against players too.
Players against players too. I think you're feeling
which is not. Yeah, I think. Listen, Porto's always had difficulty in England against English teams, so it's nothing new. But listen, Porto. I think Porto's feeling the fact that they had to move some players this off season. I think whether you like it or not, Danilo is going to be a big loss in the midfield. You look at the bench, and as far as strikers and attacking players, you see some players that are forwards, but are they Porto level players that in the Champions League or in European competition can make a difference? I think Porto is going to have a very, very difficult time in Europe this year against Olympiacos, against Marseille. I think they're going to have a very, very difficult time. I said, not for nothing, but I say that they're not going to make it to the second round, and they're going to be lucky if they're able to go over to Europe. But let's see what happens.
I mean, the Champions League, I've always said you got to win your home games, and you got to have one away game, one away result. I think that they're going to win their home games because I don't think that Manchester City was anything special today, regardless if they were missing a couple of players. But when you have a roster of $1 billion, you should be fine, regardless if it's your subs. As for Olympiacos or Marseille, I think we have a good shot at beating both of them, especially Marseille or Olympiacos on the road.
Especially Marseille, yeah. Especially Marseille with the next president being the coach over there.
It doesn't matter if he's the next or not. They're still a big club, and they still need to make money. So, I don't agree at all that Danilo is going to be a big loss. He already started hearing the PSG fans for what he did yesterday and costing them the game. But he's sold, so I really don't care anymore.
What about Delsh?
Del's played his first game yesterday, right?
No, but I'm saying you're not going to miss him.
No, we're definitely going to miss him. I mean, you're talking about a guy that leads the league, or is one of the league leaders in assists. I mean, come on.
Yep. Yeah,
Forget the assists, forget the stats, forget the assists and the goals and all that stuff. You're talking about players that
Maybe
Porto players, Porto style players, and you're gonna get some softies from Brazil and from West Ham and stuff like that, and you think just because they were sold a few years ago for 38-40 million euros, that now they come like Jeff said before, they're coming to Portugal. It's a vacation for them. They don't feel Porto. And then Sergio Conceição starts yapping away, saying that these players, they don't feel Porto. They could start walking and stuff like that. What do you think is going to happen after a couple of bad results? You think everything is going to, they're going to go to Calor da Noite and have a couple of beers and everything is gonna be all right?
Oh, I mean, I know you're referring to Anderson Luiz, and
I'm referring to any of the new players, the no name players that came in. You how many signings did you have this offseason? 6, 7?
Something like that.
More like that? How many of those players actually play now? Or in your starting lineup?
Not new plays.
Right.
Not new plays. He was used today, and clearly Champions League is a competition I don't think he was ready for. Ivan Nilsson played today. Taremi has played. Grujic has not played yet. I mean, he just came last week. Nakajima played today. I don't know why. I don't even know why he's on the roster, but all right, whatever. Who's another one that showed up? Zaidu played, and I think he's going to be pretty good. I mean, again, is he going to be influential like Delge, assisting and all that other stuff? No, but he's going to give a lot of problems to teams on the outside.
He is, but like George was saying, the Hasa and the X factor.
He'll be all right. He'll be all right. That guy will be all right. Sar, I mean, he's on loan, but these are also guys that, hey, you got to make it. Like a guy like Sar, he's 23 years old. You got to either pick it up or you're never going to make Chelsea. They might say, all right, we're going to let you go at the end of the season. We're going to have to sell you because you're just not – you've been on loan for a couple of years and we don't see any development and you're gone. That's what's going to happen with some of these guys. But Sar played pretty good today, but, he came out injured. So I think the slow start, the only slow start that we really have, if you look at it, was a surprise loss to Maritimo. Other than that, it's been pretty normal. I mean, we usually go to Spartan, we usually tie, so that's nothing. No result out of the ordinary. The Maritimo loss, the only loss.
Usually tie. You beat all the.
We have one win in 12 years there.
You beat Benfica. You beat Benfica and Sporting on all games last year.
That was last year. Last year's last year. This year's this year. But
exactly.
I'm saying
that's exactly what I'm saying. Last year's last year. This year's the different squad.
Would you argue that Manchester City is probably on there at a low point of their season right now, form wise?
It might be possible. I mean, if you lose to, but see, that's the different. It's different when you can't compare leagues, EPL versus and Champions League, because the motivation factor is different. Some of those teams, they walk on the pitch and they're like, it's Leicester. We'll smack them, and then all of a sudden they get beat. But in EPL, anyone can beat anybody, and the officiating is pretty much the same for everybody, across the board on a regular basis. There are exceptions to the rule, with a bad call here and there. Now, in Champions League, these calls like today should never happen. It should never happen, and they happen. And it happened to who? The top dogs, because they have the most money. But is it fair? No. I mean, they're talking about, we talked about the Super League, the European Super League. I really hope that it does go through. You know why? Because when they leave these domestic leagues, the domestic federations have to say, oh, you want to leave our league? No problem. Look, when that league folds and you want to come back to this league, you're going to have to start at the bottom. And I mean the bottom, not the first division or second division. It's the 7th, 5th, 4th, wherever you come from. You're down at the bottom of the bottom.
Yeah, well, money talks. Ask
money
Mr.
talks.
Osmond.
I get it. I get it, but that's where they're gonna fuck these teams. That's what when those teams are gonna start thinking twice about leaving because they're not gonna want to run that risk. I'd say let them go, let them go, let them start their own league, but that league is not gonna survive.
I
I don't
think
know.
if
I don't
I
know.
think if it starts, it ends up trumping every other league in the world.
Yep.
I don't
Nah,
think there's any question about it.
you don't think so?
I don't think there's any question about it. That's where all the stars go. You know, it's the actual. That's a league where anyone in the world can relate to. It's a Champions League on steroids, pretty much. You know, and I don't think I think if it happens, I think bye bye, you know, bye bye any kind of international league a Champions League would be ridiculous. You know, I wouldn't be as valuable. Europa League, forget about it. You put together I don't know how many teams they're looking to put together, but a 20 team,
18 teams.
yeah, an 18 team Super League with all the top clubs, with all the top players, and that league generating the amount of money that it will be with television rights and all that stuff. Forget about it.
I think
it'll change soccer forever.
I don't think it'll ever happen. I mean, it's FIFA versus UEFA right now, and UEFA's they gotta stand strong on this one and say, okay, you leave, but after this, like, I'm sorry, but you're gonna be down at the bottom.
Well, UEFA didn't start too good because they announced today a cut in premiums for the next 5 years for Champions League and Europa leagues from 5 to 10% of the purses
Is it due to COVID or?
through the COVID for the next 5 years.
That's not a surprise. That's not a surprise, George. So,
But yet they wanna increase Champions League to 36 teams instead of 4 games at group stage. They want to make it 10 games at group stage, but they're cutting the purses.
Well,
so they want more games and less prize money.
Well,
Correct.
that goes to show you that they're slowly, in some way or another, they're slowly trying to weed out the domestic leagues and now trying to put more emphasis and more focus on these larger scale competitions, which is the Champions League. I mean that's what it seems like it's going to. A super league, and they've been talking about it for years. And again, once money is able to generate, and they start cutting from here and building there. I think that's where the focus is going to be. The money, the TV rights are going to talk louder than anything else. And I think once it happens, it's a wrap. There's no going back. There's no like it's a mistake. It's like the Nations Cup. Like the
Nations
Nations Cup.
yeah, the nation.
I'll tell you something. That's something that I think is here to stay.
I think it's good.
Yeah, it's good because it's in everybody loves promotion relegation. That's what's missing in the MLS. So if this Super League, if you will, has a promotion relegation, if it draws a vast majority, across Europe, bringing in the fans of Germany and England and having Bayern Munich compete against the top, they'd rather see Bayern Munich. The Germans would rather see Bayern Munich compete against Manchester City and Manchester United on a weekly basis than against Freiburg and Hertha Berlin. You know what I mean? So and then that's it's just money talks, and it's a monopoly. It goes on with corporations in America or all over the world where there's monopolization, and it goes on with football, and that's what's going on right now. So
I think the big point is if it starts, it's all done.
Correct.
Yeah, but the Portuguese clubs are not going to survive that.
They won't survive it. And that's where, in a sense, you got to put a stand in. And I think, I don't know, I'm not sure how powerful the Bosman rule is. I keep bringing up Bosman because I think it's so influential. In a way, it's these leagues, these domestic leagues can say, hey, listen, now we're going to have to stop becoming more dependent on our
academies.
Our academies, correct, and now saying, hey, listen, in order to field a roster, let's say 70% of your roster has to be Portuguese. You know what I mean? And now saying, like, let's develop these clubs from within and make them and kind of like shun them and make it a little bit more difficult for them to go over to these super leagues, because again, you have these super leagues, and it's going to be very difficult for the Renat Sanchez of the world to be going over, and they're going to want the best of the best, the cream of the crop. The only way for these smaller leagues to grow is to bet on their youth product, and that's the only way to compete. That's what Sporting's doing with Benfica. That's what Portugal's going to have to do with these super leagues.
I don't think it's going to ever come off. I mean, the one thing that you keep on talking about Bosman, which is always interesting. I talk to my players about it. They have no idea what I'm talking about. We're just too young.
It's us 40-year-olds that know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and there's probably listeners right now that have no idea what the Bosman law is.
Right.
But the Bosman law completely changed soccer that it is today.
Mm-hmm.
It made it worse, way worse. If you ever listen to the interview with Bosman, Mark Bosman, I think his name is.
Yeah, Jean-Marc Luc Bosman, something like that.
Yep. Something like that. He actually says that he regrets doing it. He regrets doing it because he's the one that ruined soccer.
Yep. But he sold out.
He sold out. And you know what? Was it worth it for him? No, it wasn't, because he wasn't very successful, but he made a lot of other people a lot of money. And they are who they are today because of the Bosman law, or else it wouldn't have never been.
You can only imagine what Benfica, Porto, and Sporting would be like today if the Bosman rule never came into effect.
I'll challenge that, Jeff, with this. Let's say this: if the Bosman law was still in effect, the English clubs would not be strong.
Nope, you're right.
The Spanish clubs, the French clubs, and the German clubs right now would be very equivalent to what Bayern Munich is, or closer. I wouldn't say as strong, but they would have closed the gap to Bayern Munich or PSG or any of those other, or Barcelona, Real Madrid. And in Portugal, we would probably be competing. We would be one of those teams that would be able to compete for a Champions League. Yeah,
no question about it.
So you take away, because if you look at the rankings of the top teams or top leagues in Europe, the Championship is ahead of the Portuguese league.
Yep.
The Championship.
Yep.
Think about that. So
go look at the youth leagues where both your clubs have been competing the last few years. I mean, every year, Porto and Benfica, and when Sporting qualifies for the Champions, they went also. I think it was a semifinal. We lost against Inter Milan. We're always the Portuguese clubs that have Portuguese roots are always in the final stages of the youth Champions Leagues, and our U21s, U20s, U19s. When these players are still coming from our academies, are winning European championships or coming close to it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, these huge sharks come around and stop prying our players, and it's a wrap. And we're going and get the Anderson Luiz's of the world and the Jesse Rodriguez, and rather than bringing up the youth, the gems that we've been developing from day one. It's a shame for our clubs.
Yeah, I mean it's been pretty bad. All right, we're gonna wrap up the show because we're at 1:42. I'm gonna quickly go with what the scores for next week. Let me just read the schedule real quick.
You already know the scores, so I think I knew
the time traveler.
Sorry. We'll predict the scores. Tondela Portimonense starts Friday, and then we have Nacional Paz Freire, Santa Clara Sporting. Jeff, what's your prediction?
Santa Clara Sporting. I think Sporting carries over a good momentum from Alvalade. I think we go into the Azores and we win 3-1.
3-1. Okay.
3-1.
George.
I think Benfica B team ties 1-1.
I'm gonna say 0-0. Porto Gil Vicente. Porto has to get back on track. Tricky team against Gil Vicente, but I say we win 3-0. George.
Gil Vicente abre as pernas. 3-1.
Jeff.
2-0 Porto.
All right. Then we'll have Moreirense Marítimo, Farense Rio Ave, Famalicão Boa Vista. The game of the week, Guimarães Braga. And then we have Benfica Belenenses. George.
Benfica Belenenses.
O Petit is the coach, don't forget.
Então vai ser 2-0 Benfica.
2-0 Benfica. George. Sorry, Jeff.
Question. You said Guimarães Braga, right? Or Braga Guimarães?
Guimarães Braga.
So, I'm just going to go off on a little tangent. I think Guimarães, Garra do Minho, I think Guimarães takes that one 2-0. Just to throw that out there. But I think Benfica wins handily against the Pernas Abertas 5-0.
5-0. George, do you want to predict the Guimarães Braga game?
Braga wins 3-1. Braga wins 3-1.
On the road.
I'm gonna say
No fans.
Good point.
Guimarães beats Braga 2-1. Controversial game.
Yes.
I'm gonna say Benfica will beat Belenenses 4-0. Petit will come with another strategy. High line to the semicircle. Everyone go to the semicircle and not really defend.
What were the scores against Belenenses that we had last year?
It wasn't against Petit though.
No, Petit is an honorary member of the Bologna club.
Well, he gets the kit socio at the end of the game. And
we're not as lucky as when Porto plays Boa Vista.
Yeah, they don't give us nothing, bro.
No. Quando é que foi este ano? 4 ou 5 só na segunda parte?
No, today was the second half.
Okay.
Bebe mais água, pá.
We'll see. It's gonna be a tough game for Benfica. I mean, first 10 minutes they're gonna struggle heavily, and then after that it's gonna be a wash.
And Porto too. I think Porto this time against Gil Vicente they're gonna play with 6 in the back. They're gonna play a 6-3-1.
6-3-1. Who? Gil?
Não, o Porto vai jogar 6-3-1 para treinar para o próximo jogo com o Manchester City no Cagão.
I think Bernard Silva already got a phone call and he's already shitting his pants. He might be telling Guardiola, I'm not going to be available for the Porto game.
Belasso Bernard Silva te marca gol do meio campo como marcou o Cristiano.
He played phenomenal today. Zaidu still has him in his back pocket.
But tell Zaidu to look up at the scoreboard.
No, I'll tell Zaidu to ask the ref what was the score. I'll ask him to tell the ref.
Push.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much for coming on. You were great, man.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Oh yeah.
We'll be on sometime next week. We'll be talking about the Benfica Lech Poznan, right?
Yep.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So Benfica and Lech Poznan, and then we'll talk about the weekend's coverage of this upcoming week, and then there's no games next week, right, for Champions League and Europa League. I know there's a lot of condensed games.
I know there's no games all year for Europa League.
For Sporting. Sporting took a year sabbatical.
Hey, but I'll tell you on a little side note there, that actually might be an advantage that, you know what I mean, that we have here as far as a league run. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that we have a chance to win a title, but you never know what happens. And as far as if there's any silver lining to a meaningless Europa run, if you're going to get ousted in this, oitavos finais or in the group stage or whatever it is, it's having fresh players for a fresh league run. So nothing, I think it's extremely important to to qualify for the Champions League for Sporting financially. It's extremely important, and I think we have all the reasons to feel confident going forward. So that's my opinion, anyway.
I mean, we've seen that in the past with some leagues, in which you can see when you don't go far in certain competitions and you get eliminated early, you tend. And this year, remember, there's 2 teams that go direct into Champions League. That might be the plan for Sporting, to try to at least secure second place at the minimum.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, do they have the team to do it? We don't know. I do hear a lot of Benfiquistas saying, we're +5. League is a wrap.
Who says that? What the hell says that?
Oh, there's already guys talking. There's already guys talking. Porto doesn't look so strong. Sporting is going to struggle. Before you know it, we got it under control.
That's Bruno's voices.
No, that's not Bruno's voices. That's not Bruno's voices.
You think Benfica after last year being up 8 or 9 points and losing, you think they're going to be saying that now?
They don't learn their lesson.
Third game of the season.
Right,
they don't learn their lesson.
Bruno, you're right, man. They don't learn. And even with Mr. Arrogance leading the way, you know what I mean? It's even
forget
worse,
it, bro.
dude. That's it.
No, they're way worse.
Up.
No, those guys. Well, and that's the thing with Cableta. They always start hot and then they end cold. They struggle at the end.
You better. Hey, I'll tell you this: the Benfica better hope that that Porto doesn't fire Conceição and hires Vitor Pereira, because if that's the case, Benfica's toast.
Vitor Pereira.
Vitor Pereira, man, right? They only got to put Zeus.
E vão buscar o Kelvin outra vez ao retirement no Brazil.
No, well, I mean, Vitor Pereira only lost 1 game in 2 years.
Hey, so
1 game in 2 years.
Very underrated.
Em que ano é que foi isso?
And I'm gonna tell you who's the team, and who was the referee that did it. Bruno Paixão in Barcelos.
Oh boy, Bruno
Yeah.
Paixão, Mr. Red Boy himself.
Só falas do Bruno Paixão e do jogo que perdeste, mas os outros todos que ganhaste assim.
Okay.
Esse aí apanhas a amnesia. Nessas missas e das espadas não falas nada.
Amnesia é com o presidente do Benfica.
Dessas missas e das espadas não dizes nada.
Hey, listen, there's got to be something going on at Benfica, Jeff, because now Cableta went to the court the other day and he says he doesn't remember being Sporting's coach the last year.
Oh man,
that's not what he said.
He did say that. He said he doesn't remember.
He doesn't. He has the dates all wrong. He didn't know he had an email. He didn't have an email. Jeff, he didn't have an email, Jeff.
He got beat up. He got beat up in Alcochete. What do you want him to do? Ele pensava que estava nas touradas, que não sabia que estava a treinar futebol ainda. O homem já é senior citizen e vai lá e leva uma coordenada lá com cintos e coisas, mas o Baranda depois ainda tem que abrir the red carpet e dizer: entrem, meus amigos, podem estar cá o tempo todo que quiserem, vão lá bater mais, deem mais neles.
Jeff, I don't know, man. They got some problems with memory loss over there.
They do a lot of. It must be the altitude or something. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is.
You know, it's the arrogance, man. It's the arrogance.
Right?
Blinds them. All right, guys.
We have arrogance. Portista a falar de arrogância. Meu Deus do céu. Está todo roto.
No, dude. We're not we're not as arrogant as you. Not even close.
Não, só you're not as arrogant quando o árbitro estrangeiro mete no sítio. Assim, quando o árbitro estrangeiro mete no sítio, não diz nada.
É como vocês.
Se fosse em Portugal, já estava a casa do Benfica toda partida outra vez em Braga.
Vocês na Europa é como é. You're the only first seed to go 0 points in history.
I love it.
Vamos ver o que é que acontece este ano.
Hey, I got 1% left on my computer, so I just
all right. Jeff, thank you very much for coming on. George, thank you very much. See everybody next week.
I'll be on one day.
Thank you.
Future, man. Pleasure.
All right, man.
Pleasure being with
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Have a good night, guys.
Viva
All right, guys.
Ciao, Laura.
Ciao.